Good morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions, and thank you again for our time together. Well, it's been a great week at South Campus this week for our first revival nights in the South. Tonight, I'm sure we're going to have a great service together, so we'll look forward to it. And then tomorrow night, we're back downtown for a new series of studies that will be opening for the Friday night services only, called What Does Revival Look Like? All right now, let's get to a very difficult passage, and let me read you a rather lengthy passage that nobody wants to read or talk about today. Beginning in 2 Corinthians 6, beginning with verse 14. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. Now please remember, this is Paul, the author of grace, the guy who teaches us just about everything we know about grace. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? What harmony? What agreement? How can they get along? Does Christ have with Belial? And what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? What agreement is there between the temple of God and the temple of idols? For we are the temple of the living God. As God has said, I will live with them and walk among them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Therefore, come out from them and be separate, says the Lord. Touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you, and I will be a father to you, and you will be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. Since we have these promises, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God. Now this is from Paul, the guy that writes us all the cool theology on grace. This is Paul, after Jesus, the greatest evangelist that has ever walked the earth, a man who definitely knew how to walk into different cultures and preach the gospel. So it's not about engaging the culture, and it's not about grace. It's about the fact that we as Christians need to understand that we are called to live separated lives. Now, when I was a young person, people took this way to the extreme, and women didn't wear open-toed shoes, and women didn't cut their hair, and women didn't wear makeup, and Christians didn't go to the beach, and there was a lot of strange things. You didn't eat, didn't go on, and all kinds of strange things. But in today's world, the pendulum has swung all the way to the other extreme, and now people want to go and act like we're just like the world, you know? We're just like you, but we're not just like them. What harmony? What do we have in common? Paul said we have some very beautiful promises. We have the promises that we are the temple of the living God. We have promises that if we will live like this, he says, I will receive you and I will be a father to you and you will be my sons and daughters. We have the promise of intimacy. Intimacy flows from separation. Now that does not mean we come off and live like hermits and live, off someplace by ourselves in little Christian communities and we never know an unbeliever, because how then can we change the world? How can we go to the world and preach the gospel? But we have to understand that the Great Commission says, go into all the world and preach the gospel. It didn't say go and be like them. We are a different people. Now I challenge you today. I know there are so many churches today that teach you that going to the clubs and drinking and premarital sex and marijuana and all these things are fine. Little pornography, all these things are fine. Little masturbation is fine. They tell you all these things are wonderful because they're more interested in your offerings than they are in you making it to heaven. Paul was not. Paul looks at us and says, do you want intimacy with God? Do you want to be the temple of the living God? Then understand who you are. Come out and live separate. Yes, let's go to the world and preach the gospel, but let's understand we don't belong in the clubs. We don't belong in the pornography places. We don't belong sitting around smoking marijuana. We don't belong in places where people aren't dressed properly. We don't belong in those places. Come out and be separate, and there will be intimacy with God.